Hi, UPS. Yeah, I got 350 packages plus to go. You were supposed to pick them up 5 times, and you haven't shown up. Do you want to do your job? Do you want to do your job? Clearly, you don't want to do your job. I think it's pretty clear you don't want to do your job.
Stephen, I have over 350 UPS packages sitting at the warehouse for the last, almost a week at this point, and it's been a lovely time trying to get UPS to, do their job.
How many pallets of books is that?
Well, there's 200 books per pallet when it comes packed by 4 in boxes from Italy. I have it stacked that it's 2 full massive pallets right now. One of them has like 180 books on it. The other has 160 some books on it. It's a lot of books, and they're ready to go. They're all labeled. They're all stuck. They're all waiting for UPS. I've tried to contact my one driver who was helping me talk to his bosses about getting a pickup, because I want them to send a truck, an empty truck, right? Because we've got so many packages, and I'll help them get it out. And on the flip side, you try scheduling one, and it only lets you say that you have 30 packages to go online. And the reason I tried to go through the channels of the driver who talks directly to dispatch is to make them aware that it's 350 plus, not 30. And so that when someone shows up, they're like, I can't do it.
Yep.
Because their truck is already full. But you can't. Like, you just have no... there's like no way to contact anybody anymore.
So you're saying you tried and I assume got like a robot on the phone or something like that?
Well, I got India. That's close enough to a robot.
How did that sound?
Well, they're just like, we could do a pickup between 8 a.m. How is between 10 and 8 p.m.?
Perfect.
Like, how about no? And this is why I contact my driver, former driver. He's not driving on our route anymore, but I know that he's been super helpful in the past and really cares about what he does and could talk directly to the people that send the right people. So I don't have to talk to India and get it all confused. So I'm waiting. They're ready to go. A lot of people who ordered them got notifications that the label has been created.
Label created. That's always my favorite. It's like another week until they actually ship it half the time.
Well, first off, it was supposed to not get a label created message. It was only supposed to be when it gets scanned in.
So you have that option to not have a label created?
I thought so. I followed the directions of the people that helped me set it up. And I'm like, just to be sure, they won't be notified until it ships. Not when it prints, but when it ships. He's like, yes. And then I get a message.
Wrong.
Then I get a message like, I won't be here this weekend. I'm like, well, it's not shipping this weekend. It's not packed yet. I shouldn't have gotten them yet, but it is. And then I'm dealing with the international stuff that I have to do through FedEx, and so I'm out. I don't have enough pouches, and trying to get pouches has been a problem. The slippy, the clear plasticine. So I just ordered my own from Amazon, and I'll just deal with it. Whatever. Like, I got to do what I got to do, and so yeah, it's a whole process, and it's not easy. People think that it's got to be like super easy doing logistics. When you do a project, it is not easy.
Well, when you're dealing with a massive amount of fairly big and heavy photo books, it's not easy at all.
That's a small package generally for UPS though. 15 by 12 by 2 inches, averaging 8 pounds.
But not when you stack 180 of them on a pallet.
No, but I'm going to help them get them onto the truck. I mean, that's their job,
Of course, yeah.
So whatever. That's what I'm dealing with. And if anybody was wondering if the book will be for sale, again, yes, the book will be for sale when I am done getting these things basically out. There's also still 50 to 100 that I need to contact people because either they haven't submitted their address yet, or I need to verify their address because some parameters and things might be off in the system just from what they entered.
So besides those books, how many more do you actually have to pack?
Well, I still need to pack a bunch because I ran out of 4x6. I ran out of 4x6 cards, so I had to reprint more and have them.
Oh. I thought you had them all like set aside. And
I did.
Figured
I had
out
a large number of them done and set aside. I thought I had enough for, 600 or 700, but whatever. I don't know. Either I fucked up putting them in the packages, or I just didn't have enough.
You might get 7 4x6 cards instead of 3.
No, there's 3 per pack, but some boxes would get 2 packs.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's the update on the book right now.
Quite a process. I just don't recall the Bernie book being this much of a pain for you. I feel like it was a weekend and you were done. It seemed very smooth last time, but I could completely be forgetting that you had a major issue. I don't know, but I feel like it was a fairly smooth process.
Well, no, you were off. It was Christmas. I had COVID. It was like December 24th.
Usually you will hit me up and kind of tell me how annoying of a process it is, and I didn't hear that at all.
Well, it wasn't. That was annoying. That was an annoying process too, because I had people that would choose which print they wanted, and I had to coordinate that with the right box. But I did those all second. I got all of the ones that were just the books or total packages out by themselves because it was just easier, which is very similar to what I did this time. So, there probably will be fuck ups now. There's always fuck ups, but try to do our best to make sure there aren't.
Nothing you can't fix.
Just annoyances, many of annoyances. Anyway, we are coming up on June 1st, 2025.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not going to ask Steven what do you know what happened on June 1st, 2010? Because it's in our notes.
Well, I've heard it many, many times, and I always forget about it until like the day of.
June 1st, 2010 is the day FronosPhoto.com went live. And the branding on my YouTube channel changed to Fronos Photo. Because leading up to that for like a couple of months, I started to transition the branding from JaredPolin.com with my Fro logo that I had there to FronosPhoto.com. And it was all like, this is coming. These videos, the branding's changing. And on June 1st was the first day that I launched the website.
What made you change from JaredPolin.com to Fronos Photo?
A brand. It just made more sense.
I mean, Jared Polin could still be a brand, though.
It could, but I just felt like it needed its own home. Okay, so probably the mindset was, well, JaredPolin.com is for my personal photography work because I want to be a photographer.
That makes sense.
And Fronos Photo was the stuff that I would put out on the internet to help me get jobs. And we all know what happened is it got me more questions, and then I started answering all the questions.
Sure.
So that's probably the thinking behind it. I wanted to brand it in something else. And, Fronos Photo
separate.
was kind of cool. Fro knows photo.
And if you recall, we did kind of a retrospective history of Fronos Photo video.
Is this the end of Fronos Photo after 9 years?
Yeah, so it was the 9-year anniversary. It was a video for the 1 million subscribers, I believe. That's kind of what it was meant to be, like a celebration of hitting 1 million subscribers, which, by the way, we just hit 1.5, another big milestone, in my opinion. That took quite some time. I mean, it's been, another 6 years?
It's been a while.
But watch that video if you haven't, because it is a really interesting take on Fronos Photo and the beginnings and how you got to where you are now. And just, you're talking about the whole slogan, brand, whatever you want to call it, going from JaredPolin.com to Fronos Photo, from photo to photo, pronouncing it differently throughout the years. There's a whole section showcasing that and highlighting, someone like Lil and stuff that really kicked off the channel. It's a good video. And there's another video, I believe, called Is It Time for the Fro to Go After 10 Years? I think we did it the next year for the 10-year anniversary. And it's another mini recap of Fronos Photo.
It's a long time.
Yeah. It's a long time to be on YouTube.
Yeah, 15 years of sustained just day in and day out focusing. And there's changes along the way.
And I've been with you since 2012, so 13 years at this point. Yeah.
It's your bar mitzvah year.
It's my bar mitzvah, yeah.
Congratulations, Steven. You're a man. You're now a man at 13. You're a little pussy. Not you. I'm thinking about myself at 13 when they have all these hot dancers around you at your bar mitzvah. And you're like, yeah, I'm a man. I'm a man now. Look at me.
My voice still hasn't dropped.
Yeah, no.
I would get the occasional, you sound like a girl on the phone when I was like 13 years old, because my voice was just so high-pitched. And I still have a fairly high-pitched voice.
Hi, I'm Steven.
Hi, my name's Steven Eckert. I sound like Mickey Mouse.
Don't say the words. Why did you say the words? Oh, that's right, Steven.
Oh, God.
Did your balls not drop yet? Do you need help? Because I have a friend. Minnie could help you drop your balls. Hold on. Minnie, get your fucking asshole over here. Steven Eckert needs your help. She's busy. Oh, but Goofy isn't. Goofy can play with your taint.
You mean Pluto?
No. Hey, Goofy, no, I'm Pluto.
That's a deep pool.
Yeah, stupid Pluto.
But 10 years, man. Or 15 years.
10 years. Yeah, 15 years is impressive, I think, in this world of content creation. As I recall, way back in the day when 9 months in and I had that issue with Greg, that's a deep pull for anybody that still listens.
And I wasn't even around for that. That was right before my time. About a year before, I believe.
Yeah, anybody can look up what Greg did after the fact, making his own YouTube channel, which is something that I wanted to support. But I remember back in the day, people that followed and we split channels, and they're like, "You're a flash in the pan. We all know that that Frono's Photo's only a success because Greg." And it's just like, you listen to these people, and it was very disheartening because I remember going to dinner with my dad, and he's like, "You got to ignore the comments," and it was a different era 15 years ago, 14.
And this is when you had every comment going to your phone, right?
Everything.
Every notification. You were deep in that world where now you pretty much ignore it for the most part.
Well, at the beginning, I wanted every YouTube comment email to come in because it was, you'd get like 20.
Few and far between compared to now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, I replied to every message that came up, but that whole stuff at the beginning, like, you're a flash in the pan, you're not the reason it's successful, you're just a shtick, right? People always pull that you're just a shtick thing because of the hair, and it's like, cool, whatever, here I am. One of the most influential in the history of the photo niche on YouTube and sustaining. Well, I said one of the.
That was like, way to keep it humble.
That is how you keep it humble. You can't say, I always say this when people are like, I'm the first. I'm like, you're not the first unless you walked on the moon first. You're not the first unless you did actual firsts.
Well, if you're the first comment.
Well, then you're special. People still do that after
don't get it.
20 some years.
They still do it.
Of
They
YouTube.
still do it.
So, Look, I don't know what tomorrow brings for any of this stuff. I continued to do this. We continued to do this. This is what we do. I don't want to do other stuff.
Every week is different. It's always hard to keep up with the ongoing, all the gear coming out nonstop. But we try. I think we do a pretty good job with our incredibly small team here at Frono's Photo, as in me, you, and Dan. That's it.
That's it. That's what we
3
got.
people.
And there's, subcontractors that do other random stuff, but not on the daily that help build and make and produce and put the stuff out into the world.
Yeah.
So with all of that being said, there's 2 sales that happen during a year. Usually on June 1st, I announce a sale. And usually on Black Friday, we have another sale because we know we're not a big sale company because sales just devalue your product. So we not randomly, but on occasion, these 2 occasions do it. So in honor of the 15th anniversary of Frono's Photo, there is a sale on presets for the Grand Slam bundle.
Ooh.
If you go to fronosphoto.com/FroPack4 and you click on the Grand Slam bundle, add it to your cart, at checkout, use the code FRO15, that's FRO15, the number altogether, at checkout, and you will get $15 off, which is in essence $1.83 a fucking preset, which is in essence a huge freaking discount.
That is the biggest discount we've ever offered. I believe we might have did like $14 off. But, I think we did 14 for last year.
Yeah.
So 15 is the biggest discount. I wonder what 16 is going to bring.
I don't know. I might change it up. We might start going backwards. I used to do like 12.4%. I used to just do weird stuff.
Oh, we used to do a ton of weird t-shirt sales. 33.7% off or something.
I'd like to bring some of that stuff back. But use the code FRO15 at checkout. That is going to be good till I believe June 6th or June 7th. It might end when I decide to end it. So if you haven't picked up the presets, or if you want to show support for 15 fucking years of this, or you've gotten a lot of value out of it and you want to just support what we do for fun, like OnlyFans, you can go ahead and purchase that too. So why not?
Yeah, we still don't run ads on this podcast.
No, we don't run ads on the podcast because ads on podcasts are stupid. Like literally, I just skip them.
Well, yeah, me too.
I just hit the skip forward. It's just like, that's why it's hard to monetize podcasts, because it's like, I don't want to, it's like certain podcasts, when I used to listen to, what the hell's that guy's name? Mark Maron, right? I don't even know if he's doing podcasts anymore.
Yeah, WTF.
The first 7 or 8 minutes is just him talking about sponsors.
Yeah, I listen to Fly on the Wall with Dana Carvey and David Spade, and same thing. It's the first 3 minutes are always sponsors.
Yeah, skip.
Yeah, right before you jump into this video, skip.
Yeah, that's probably something, except for this week's fix. I've
always questioned, does that hurt the video too? Because people are right away skipping to get to the meat of the video 25 seconds in, 20 seconds in.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. It is what it is. That's how you pay the bills for some things.
No, I totally get the business side of it, but I'm also sure it's highly annoying to the everyday average viewer from the channel. But
I'm sorry, when you open a magazine and there's an advertisement on page 1 through 6, right? I know that's old school, but or you watch TV or you watch fucking Amazon Prime and they force you to watch 90 seconds to 270 seconds of ads now, right? Like, fuck off. Anyway, fuck off. Skip what you want to skip.
Yeah. Like this whole conversation that is essentially an ad.
We given enough value. Anyway, a correction from last week. We talked about the Fuji Half X camera, and I was like, I don't understand why they don't give you the option for 12 and 24 exposure rolls. Mm-hmm. And they just did 36, 54, and 72. And then I'm like, oh. And I didn't realize this till I did the news yesterday. Photo News Fix is like, oh, well, 72 exposures are half. So when you half it, it's a 36 exposure roll, because when those cameras were out back in the day for half exposures, it was 2 exposures per 35 millimeter frame, which is 72. So I was wrong about that.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it. I saw someone text in right after the show and explain that 72 was that. And I'm like, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't cross my mind. But I will say that that's kind of what happens when you don't have a briefing
exactly
with a company. If a company doesn't brief you and you have like, this just doesn't make any sense, and then they have no way of being like, oh, actually, that's a great question. Yeah, here's the reasons why. And you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. So then when you don't have briefings from companies, you go and you can base it off of the specs that you have. And if you make a mistake, you don't have a way to correct it because you had no one to talk to about it. And so that's what we deal with from time to time with certain companies is you don't get if you don't have a briefing, you can't talk to a human. And if you can't talk to a human, you just are out to make your own judgments. And then they might get pissed off that you said something, but it's like, hey, you just sent a fucking press release.
At the same time, it is annoying when you ask a question during a briefing and they're like, we'll have to get back to you on that.
Oh,
and
they
then
never
they don't get back to us. And it's like, okay, so you don't know why either. You question it as well. Sony's usually pretty good with like explaining why, but other brands.
Yeah, but when you're like, isn't this the same sensor? Well, it's based on the same sensor.
That's my
favorite. It's like, well, we don't
slightly tweaked.
We don't share readout speed information. We're like, yeah, but we have the readout speed information. And so they try to hide shit instead of just being straight up.
Yeah.
So on the Fuji front, I am going to borrow, since Fuji doesn't send me anything, a GFX 100 RF from Brandon at Allen's Camera. I will be taking it to New York City as of now on Monday. Steven didn't know that yet, I don't think.
This is news to me.
It just, the bowling show is also doing something on Monday, so I'm going to stop by the bowling show set while it's happening, and I figured I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, take the GFX I have to go pick it up because I have to see that we can plug into the HDMI on it to make, which we should be able to record the EVF.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's a Fuji, so it should allow me to record because it has a hot shoe and it has HDMI, I would assume, right?
Why did we not do the RX 100? You just didn't want to do it?
I don't think I wanted to do it.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I'm looking forward to shooting that, right? I'm looking forward to the not just because it's medium format, but it's like I said last week with the Fuji Half X, is I like sometimes being locked into a box and the constraints that you're forced to get results with something that's different than my big mirrorless camera.
Yeah, I expect you to love it, just like you did with the RX 106 when you took that to New York as well, because this is basically a medium format RX 106. Isn't the focal length kind of the same equivalent?
It's 30
in
something.
35 mil terms,
right? I think it's 30 something, and let's see, it has a
the RX 100 is a 35 mil equivalent. It's like a 23 mil.
This has 28 millimeter equivalent, which is wider than I generally like.
Okay, so it's a little wider.
What I don't like that they say about this camera, it's like, it has a digital teleconverter for aspect ratios. It's like, Yeah, no, that's literally just cropping. You are literally you're just cropping in at that 102 megapixels to make different frames out of it. I'm not a fan of that. And also, it's a $4,900 camera. So there's a very expensive camera.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have to see how it goes. I've got some ideas planned for New York City for walking around. Yeah, I think people are complaining about the lens on the front of it, and part of it is they wanted to keep the damn thing small. It's like if you're going to complain about this shit, then buy the next level up that allows you to change the lenses, the interchangeable lens version of the GFX. Then you can do all you want with it, but you don't want to spend the money for it. So stop your fucking bitching.
And they're about the same price for the interchangeable one.
Is it? Like, I don't even know which the current model is because again, I don't talk to Fuji, so I don't know what is it. Is it the 100 GFX 102?
Well, they have the 100S2 and the 102. And I always thought the S2 was like a smaller version of the 102.
So the 102 is $7,500.
And then the 100S2 is $5,000.
Right. But I don't know that. I honestly personally don't know the difference.
Well, different video features, different EVF. Like, it's just a better overall camera. The flagship is the GFX 102.
I'm just trying to see if the specs are all exactly the same. Is it the same sensor? And if that's the case, I don't know why you just wouldn't buy that. And yeah, you got to buy lenses, but like if you're spending $5,000, you just got to go with this.
Comes down to aesthetics, man.
I guess.
Doesn't look nearly as cool around your neck.
Around my neck. Speaking around my neck, I got a thing to talk about here called proximity to success. I was going to do a daily fro about this, but we needed to put something in here, and I thought it would be good to have a conversation with Steven about it anyway, because it kind of, I don't know, harkens all the way back to Steven and I meeting, proximity to success, putting yourself in a situation to be successful. And I think that one of the biggest things about being successful is being seen, putting yourself into situations to be successful. And that's why I'm torn, not in our business so much about work from home, but in bigger businesses, and the idea that a lot of people today feel that work from home is how they should be doing it. They don't need to go into an office, and they can do everything they want at home on their own time, and as long as they get their work done, they should be happy. But there is a thing about being close to the bosses, the decision makers, the people that look out of the office or look in, will take a walk through and see who's around, or understand like, oh, this person was in before me, or this person left after me, right? Or is still here when I'm leaving. There is a thing about being seen and how important it is. And that's why sometimes working from the office is very important. And I don't really believe that in what we do. Steven works from home. He comes in when we need him. Dan works from home. It's fine. It's just in those other environments, sometimes it's just very important that the boss comes out and is like, oh, you're here. I have a task for you that's important. Can you do it? And then you become known.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree on that. It's a little bit of an old school take and mentality, but because I do think if you're in constant communication with your boss too, and you could be sending an email at 6 p.m. after hours and still be seen, you're just seen via an inbox instead of physically in person. But if you're hearing from one person all day with 50 emails versus not hearing from the other person for a whole week, like I think that's a big deal as well. It just, you're not physically seeing them, but at least you are communicating. Communication is the big thing in my opinion.
It is, but I also think that out of sight, out of mind still plays true.
Sure.
And a prime example of that is I'm 7, 8, or 9 years old or 10 playing soccer. And, I get taken out of the game for whatever reason because you put a sub in, and then I sit down off to the side somewhere. And I remember the coach, Mr. Feldman, telling me, stand by my side. If you want to get back in the game, you need to be standing here so that I know you're here and I don't forget about you sitting over there. And so it's show that you want to be involved and be in the game. Get up here on my hip so that I could be all right, let's sub you back in. And that's just something that stuck with me. And then when I was shooting weddings, there was when everybody's sitting and eating, I'm not going to go out. One, I don't smoke or drink, but there's so many photographers that take a smoke break and they're drinking at the bar. One, you shouldn't be drinking at a shoot, even if they offer you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
No beer at the end of the day. That's after hour. You leave because someone might see you drinking and not realize that, the bride and groom were yeah, have a drink. But what I would do is I would stand by the side of the dance floor. I would stand in proximity to where the bride, the groom might see me. I would walk over to the parents, the grandparents, and ask, is there anything you need from me? Right? So throughout the day, you're making sure that you're being seen and you're asking the questions to make it feel like you're doing more than you're actually doing. But if you're outside when someone wants you that one time, they're going to remember that you weren't there to do your job. And so I'm there to do my job. Now, it's different when you're stopping to eat and they're serving food. Be like, hey, but before you go do your food, you go over to the bride and the groom and you go over to the parents. You're like, hey, we're going to go eat now. Before you're done eating, we'll be back so that we're able to, I'm able to be here. But being seen is so important. And proximity to success is even more important because, like, prime example, there's this kid, Henry, that came to one of my boot camps. And it's not saying if you pay to come to my boot camp, you're you're going to get some preferential treatment, because that would sound like Donald Trump selling cryptocurrency to get to his dinner. That would be very similar to that. But no, that's not how it works. But Henry was around. And then I realized, he goes to Drexel. And then we did a follow-up critique about his work and his sports stuff and what gear he had. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get you a 1DX Mark III and a 500 F4 because you're shooting all this sports and you don't have that gear here, right? And then because I knew him from that, I've needed some help with some of the book stuff. And I'm like, hey, and he offered the help. And so just being around and being seen and offering that, it's not like I'm going to take everybody's offer, but the fact that he is a known entity, he's a known quantity already. I've been helping him mentor with his stuff just because he became known to me. And that's the thing. And like, even in less cases, people that comment on Instagram, over the years, you start to recognize the names.
Oh, yeah.
And so by the time you're like, I recognize this name. They've been commenting for years. So when they like send you a message personally and they ask questions, you're more apt to answer them because they've been interacting with your brand long enough.
Same with our text line. It's the same thing. There's many familiar names that I see, and I will try to respond to them first because I feel like I'm almost like a friend to them now at this point. We do have back and forth conversations.
Yeah, and that's how it works. It's not always just an ask. There's things that I want from certain people, but the first thing I don't do is do the ask early. You need to talk to people. This is how, I go back to my bowling show origins. When I wanted to get in touch with Kyle Troop to photograph him, I went to Instagram, I reached out, I made a joke about our hair, because I'm like, mine's bigger, mine's better, whatever, like some sort of joke. And we started interacting. And then after like a bunch of messages, I was like, hey, by the way, you know what I'd like to do? I have a project where I spend a day in the life of interesting people, and I want to come out and photograph you at no cost. I'm paying for it. And he's like, oh, here's some dates. And that was the first introduction and the first in. But I didn't do that right away. It wasn't, hey, I want to photograph you. It was, let's have a conversation first. Let's get to know each other.
Got to slide into those DMs.
Yeah, I guess it's the same as if you want to sleep with someone.
Exactly,
you don't just try to slip
same.
it right in. Like, excuse me, can I slip it right in? Write me out. It's like, I don't even know who you are.
Question, can I touch you?
Where?
Oh, okay. So you're saying there's a chance.
Hey, Steven, can I touch you?
Oh my God.
A good touch. Not that Michael Jackson touch. That good touch.
It also helps that you have a blue giant check mark on Instagram and usually get bumped up in their DMs.
I've had the check mark for ages now, 15 years.
But at the same time, I guess anyone can get a check mark now, right?
Different value to each check mark, because mine is like verify. I think, I don't know, the paying for check marks is stupid. I don't even know that people are really doing it. So when someone has a verified,
I know people that are doing it.
So when I see a message and someone has a check mark and I see they have 800 followers,
exactly,
I don't give it the time of day. Yeah, it is more important. Like, to me, yes, when someone has a large following with a check mark that's verified, that's going to get priority to me. It just is, because there's more value to me. But that doesn't mean I don't answer just random people's questions, because we obviously do that all the time. So
how do you know if you're verified?
You have a check mark.
Well, but I'm saying you could pay for a check mark.
Oh, I don't know how you.
What's
pay
the difference
for it
between
anymore.
a verified check mark and just a paid for one?
I don't know anymore. Maybe I don't know if it's the same thing or not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's not something I care about, because I'm not going to pay Zuckerberg, or I don't even have a Twitter account at this point.
X.
Yeah, still not going to give it to you.
Well, you do have one, but someone stole it from you.
Yeah, because of the Twitter changes that took off two-factor authentication. And when you had to pay for Twitter in order to have two-factor authentication and more security.
Oh.
When they made the change a bunch of years ago, when Elon Musk made the change. Then I contacted them and they're like, we can't verify that this was your channel. I'm like, I have a fucking check mark that I didn't pay for. So obviously I am who I am. We can't. And then I got to the point I was like, fuck this. I don't use this anyway. Get out of here.
What was the last message they put?
I'm retiring.
Yeah, it was like, it's been a good, here we go. It's been a long journey. I'd like to say I'm happily retiring.
I don't know what happened there. I don't care at this point. So proximity to success is super important. You need to be seen by people. You need to put yourself into situations to be successful. And like I said, you want the coach to see you, to put you in, you got to be there, which is very similar to the boss. They got to know you exist, and not in a and like Steven said, you don't always have to be in the office, but
physically.
I listen to Scott Galloway talk, and some of the things he says are on point. Some of the other things might be further out there, but he talks about when he came out of school in his 20s and he got a job at like Goldman Sachs, and he's like, I spent every waking hour there basically. Like he's like, I worked my fucking ass off so that the bosses saw that I was there before they got there and left. And he invested the time. He's like, he says that about the 20s. He's like, you haven't earned the right to just not show up at this point. But if you put in the hard work up front, it pays dividends in the long run. It is so important to do the hard work first.
In your 20s, typically is when you can really grind. It's when you can dedicate those insane amount of hours, when you don't have a full-time family to come home to, I think that's when you can put all of your effort into one entity like your job. At least I did.
And I think it's important. I think it gets you much further ahead and you advance.
There was a time where I was going to college full-time, on top of having 3 jobs for about a 2-month span. It was when I was changing jobs, but I still kept the old job. And I was literally working 3 jobs at once on top of going to school. I was gone from 7 a.m. until almost like 10 o'clock at night every single day for a few weeks. And it was such a brutal time in my life, but I was grinding to make sure I excelled in what I did.
Yeah. It's super important. So changing gears, I forgot to mention I was at a Philadelphia Union game the other night.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go?
It went, well, Messi was in town.
Yeah.
So I shot with the R1.
And you took a different lens this time,
well,
right?
I took the 100 to 300. I wanted to take the 100 to 300 the year before, but it was more than a year. It was probably 2 years ago at this point.
It just came out, right?
They couldn't get me one in time.
Yeah.
And so I ended up with the 400, which I still got great photos of him, but I cut him off when he jumped, which if I had the 100 to 300, I probably wouldn't have cut him off.
Yep.
So that's why I wanted to use it this time, but he didn't do any celebratory stuff that was of interest, and I left anyway early. But before the game, I didn't realize that it was Pride Night at Subaru Park. I posted the picture. You saw me add Skittles to it?
No, I did not.
You didn't see? I did an Insta story where I went into Lightroom on the pic. So I took a picture of the board that said Subaru. So the Subaru Park sign was up, and then on it had a Pride flag, and it said Pride. And so I took a picture of it, took it into Adobe Lightroom Mobile, screen recorded it, and then just clicked Skittles, and that was the end of the video.
Oh, that's so funny.
So I just, Subaru Park is the name of the park. And they do something really good there, by the way.
What if the entire parking lot was just Subaru Outbacks and all the Subarus?
If you drive a Subaru to the park, you get free parking in a specific lot. It's smart.
Wow.
That is smart.
That is.
Imagine it's like Ford Park and you drive your Ford, right? And you get, or Porsche, you drive and you get special parking and you get free parking. Like,
that's great.
That is really smart.
Yeah.
I was corrected the other day because I was like, Gay Pride Month is coming up. They're like, it's just called Pride.
Yeah, Jared.
Oh, okay.
How do you not know that?
I thought it was Gay Pride.
You bigot?
I mean, I also found it funny that the Subaru Park sign, the Subaru logo, advertisement is next to the Chick-fil-A advertisement. I wonder if they do that on purpose. But what I did notice is that I don't think anybody knew that it was Pride night at the park, because in the past, people had different jerseys that had the pride, like the numbers were done in rainbow and they had special jerseys. I don't know I do know what's happening this time around. I think it's been pushed away as much as possible by some people because of the changes that are going on. But also I don't feel that it should be shoved down people's throat, just like the Phillies are holding a religious night at the park followed by a discussion about Christianity.
I mean, that's totally okay though.
Right. I feel,
not Pride Night.
Did you know that May is Jewish Heritage Month? I didn't know this.
We're not celebrating that. Definitely not
that. I didn't know it was Jewish Heritage Month because I don't care. Like, why do we need a month
it's
to
just
celebrate
like every
stuff?
day is something. Every month is something. I can't keep up.
Every day,
especially all these like national like siblings day and all these random made up holidays. I really can't keep up.
National Day of Orgasms.
I do that day every day.
Preston and Steve used to do steak and BJ Day or something.
Sounds like a great day.
It's just so stupid. I don't know how those daily shows work. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Well, it's funny to this audience in particular.
Subaru Park.
You sent me a text right away. You're like, guess what night it is at Subaru Park? Immediately, I'm like, Pride, probably.
I don't think that's what you said. I don't think you knew.
Well, I think you said it was Pride night, not... I said something back that I'm not going to repeat here.
Is it Pride Night in Disney yet?
I said, that's super something.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You're taking it back? I'm
taking it back. We're bringing it back.
I watched a clip from Clerks 2 where Randall is trying to take back, quote unquote, porch monkey.
Oh, jeez.
He's like, what? My grandma used to call me a little porch monkey all the time. It's like, yeah, no. But it's a movie. It's comedy. That's comedy.
Well, who is it? Shane Gillis. I think he likes to throw around the R word still.
Oh,
He's bringing that back.
Yeah.
Tires 2 coming out soon, by the way.
I hope it gets picked up for more.
6th?
If it gets picked up for more, that means Richie gets more jobs.
I hope there's and by the way, your buddy sings the soundtrack. I didn't realize that. The opening
Archawa?
theme. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. It's great that he's using all local talent for that show. All like Westchester area, like that whole...
Yeah, Archie did that.
Yeah.
Archie did that. I love Archawa from the band Illinois. And his other band, Archawa. I still love their stuff. But anyway, let's move on. The rumor of a Canon RF 70 to 150 2.8. We talked about they have the 16 to 28, which we put out a video on, the 28 to 70 2.8. These are the non-LIS versions.
Which we also put out a video on.
Yep. And I always said when it came out, I was like, well, we've got these two, is there going to be a third? And so the rumor is saying that it might be a 70 to 150, not a 70 to 180, which is what Tamron has.
It's a little annoying that it's not a 180.
It is, but it's probably going to be $1,300 or $1,400 or less dollars. And it's like, yeah, there is a difference between 150 and 200, as we saw in my 50 to 150 Sony video. But
big difference too.
It is a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
But for most people to have a 28 to 70 and then a 70 to 150, I want a little more. So hopefully it's a little more.
My guess is they're making it a 150 to keep that small compact look to go along with the 16 to 28 and the 28, because those two basically have the same shell.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they're going to keep this one a smaller lens and also keep this one like a 67 millimeter filter thread, just like Tamron's Trinity has. And this will be, like we've been saying, they're affordable, quote unquote, third party version lenses. I do think that's really nice to have. It's something that I wish I had starting out. Like I didn't have to shell out $2,200 for a single L lens to get a 2.8. So I think that's great for people coming up, but I do wish it was at least a 180 because you do need that extra reach. I think 150 is a little limiting. Like you said, we saw that in the 50 to 150 Sony review.
And it's definitely going to be external zooming. So
I think it's without a doubt external zooming.
So we'll see what happens if it's real. Again, it's a rumor, but it makes sense that there would be 3 lenses in the more affordable 2.8 line, which is still a fantastic line. The lenses do what they need to do.
Now, the question is, if they do put out this lens and say it's $1,399, $1,300, I'm assuming it's going to go after that Tamron price point, which is, I think, $1,299 for their 70 to 180. They also have their 70 to 200, but it's an f4. the L version, and that's $1,600. So it's kind of like, do you get the extra reach for the F4 and pay 100 or two more? Or do you go with a 70 to 150 and stick with that 2.8 and get limited range for 200 less?
I think the compactness is going to be a big difference, even though that
yeah,
70 to 200
compact
F4
lens.
is pretty compact.
Exactly. It's that collapsible.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. I think a lot of the people that buy a 16 to 28 and 28 to 70 are going to want to buy the other to match it.
I agree.
You know, and it's not that big of a deal, and they'll get what they need. But, you know, yeah, a 70 to 150 is not as usable or as useful as a 70 to 180, because from 180 to 200, it's not as big of a deal as 150 to 200. So we'll see what happens when they put that out, if they do put it out, because, again, it's a rumor. But moving on to the biggest news to discuss, now that it's official, the Sony FX2 has been announced, and I'm going to turn it over to Steven here, who's got more about the FX2.
So this is going to sound very familiar to those that listened last week, because the rumors were basically true. Everything but the 32-bit float option that they rumored, which is a shame that they didn't incorporate that into this body. But the FX2, like we mentioned last week, it's the A7C2 and the A7 IV officially in an FX3 body for the most part, except this body now has a tiltable EVF, so it's slightly tweaked.
Which I didn't think that they would do, because they always kept their body smaller and rely on people to use an external monitor for their cinema shooting.
Well, it makes sense, because all of the FX bodies in the past, the FX30 and the FX3, both only have a monitor and not an EVF.
Gee, I wonder if they heard someone complaining and have decided to put it on their cameras, because EVFs are fucking important, especially when you have a shitty fucking LCD panel on the back of a camera still.
Speaking of that, this does have the exact same vari-angle screen as the A7 IV, which is also kind of annoying, because they should have at least upgraded it to the latest, greatest screen that they put on everything now, which is the tilting and the vari-angle, and it's an up in resolution at least too. This is still the 1 million dot shitty, low-res, not bright A7 IV screen.
It's not bright. It doesn't have contrast. It doesn't have good color. It doesn't have good tone.
I know we complained about this with the FX3 and the FX30. At least this has an EVF, so we can look through the EVF. Now, that being said, this is only a 3.6 million dot EVF, the same one as the A7 IV. I was really hoping, since they were giving us this big EVF with an iCup, that it would have an updated resolution. Give us the 9.44 million dot one from the A1 II, the A1, the A7 R5, I think, has it. So why not at least up that if you're going to give us an EVF?
I get it. It's price shopping, trying to keep the price down, because, again, this is entry level as much as possible. But will they use the same design on an FX3 version 2? Will it have the higher res EVF on the back, or, off to the side?
I do think they are going to use this design moving forward. I mean, that's generally what Sony does. They introduce a new model every couple of models and then keep that same body shape moving forward. Like the outside of the body, this one, compared to the FX3, does now have a deeper grip, which a lot of people complained about with that FX3. There is a more aggressive fan, so you can do virtually...
Hey, I'm your fan! Look at me! Hey, over
exactly.
here!
A very annoying fan.
Hey, how's it going? Oh, hey, can I buy you dinner?
Hi. Can I have a autograph? Hi, I love your stuff. Hi.
Can we go to lunch? You want
Yo, Fro knows.
Oh, Fro no. Hey, it's Fro no.
Unlimited recording, though, they're saying, which they don't normally say. I think Gerald and Dunn said he did live streaming, recorded internally, and had it USB charging at the same time, which normally melts his alpha cameras. And he said this kept going until it just kept going. He couldn't get to overheat.
But real quick, if we didn't have one, by the way, so we didn't get a briefing and we didn't get a camera.
Nothing
so we had no contact from Sony until the press release came out, and I got the email about a press release or about the new camera. Obviously, we knew something was coming because the rumors, and also they put out their own teaser.
Well, but typically, we know we can confirm the rumors ourselves because we already been briefed for a month prior or whatever it may be. Obviously, we don't say that, but this time we legit didn't have anything to go off of until the day it was announced to everybody else. Now, the FX3 was similar. We didn't have the camera in hands, but I think we did get briefed, but like a day before it got announced. And the FX30, on the other hand, we did have a full-on hands-on preview, got briefed like weeks beforehand. That was a normal Sony event. but not this
Yep.
time around. They really kept it under wraps and gave it to a limited amount of creators.
Yep.
Back to the EVF though, it is a 90-degree tilting EVF, which is great. But the second you mount anything onto the hot shoe, whether it's a audio receiver or monitor, you then can't tilt it at all. You're pretty much still fixed like a normal EVF, which is kind of weird. I just don't understand, why didn't Sony just shift the hot shoe over like an inch or so to make room for people to mount something on top of the camera like they would normally do and still be able to have that freedom and tilt that EVF. Like, you're not going to be really using a flash on this camera. Like, yeah, you can. I get why you want to keep the hot shoe in the middle of the lens of the mount, but this is a video-centric camera. How many people are doing that? They're mounting monitors, audio receivers, whatever it may be.
Well, I mean, and it also makes the camera more useful as a stills camera for this time, because it actually has stills features.
Now, on that note, since it does have an EVF and stills features, I do find it weird too that they still have the joystick on the top right of the camera, which is great for shooting down, stuff like that. But now that you have an EVF, you're going to be almost using it like a normal stills camera, and it's very odd to have that
Steven,
joystick at the top right.
I'm not going to use it like a regular camera. I'm going to use the shitty 1.03 million dot
Yeah.
LCD screen and hold it out in front of me, because that's how we shoot today.
Or give us both. Give us a normal joystick where your thumb goes. You know, where you would normally hold it like a real camera. Why not just give us both options depending on how we want to orient the camera? Now, inside the body, obviously, is where some things changed. It does have that new Big 6 menu taken from the cinema cameras, which is an awesome, lovely menu. It's got the latest tile menu from all the Sony latest cameras. I love their tile menu. I wish every type of camera had that. The new video overlay interface with tally lights. It offers DCI 4K this time around. Shutter angle, which is great, especially when you're changing from like 4K 24 to 4K 120 to 4K 60, like that. Shutter angle will let you change immediately and not have to then go and adjust your shutter. And there's less aggressive noise reduction in video. So it is the same sensor as the A7C II and the A7 IV, but now it's a little less aggressive with the noise. But for the most part, you're getting the same video that you would get from those two cameras. So if you're looking to put this camera on a tripod and just shoot and hit record, you're probably better off just buying those other two cameras at this point for a lot less, especially the A7C II. Now, since it does have that same sensor, like I said, same video features, 7K oversampling up to 4K 30, my question is, why not, since we're changing it up, it's a brand new camera, why not allow it to have full 7K video? Why not offer 7K with open gate? Change it up a little bit, not give us the same oversampling of 4K 30. Why not give us full frame 4K 60? Give it a more powerful processor at this point. Up it, make it different from the A7 IV, the A7C II. They essentially, again, just took those guts, put it into this FX3 body, and called it a day with some very, very minor tweaks. So since it has that same sensor, it's the same rolling shutter. It's like a 26 millisecond readout, apparently, according to Undone. It's like 3 times slower than the FX3. So the FX3 is still going to remain king if you're running and gunning and doing action and any fast-paced stuff video-wise.
Yeah, he also said locked off on a tripod, it would be his choice over the A7 IV.
But why get it if you're going to lock it off on a tripod? Because it's going to give you the same video for the most part. Again, less aggressive noise. There's slightly different base ISOs.
Maybe because of the fan?
If you're doing long recording, I do get it, but the A7 IV really didn't overheat. And the A7C II. I mean, those cameras, you could record for quite some time. Typically, our previews, when we record them, are like 40 minutes uncut. And we didn't have any issues on our end, especially if you put that temperature setting to high. The other thing that they kept the same is their 120p recording is still 1080p resolution. Why not up that to 4K? Give me line skipped 4K 120. I don't care. Give me a crop 4K 120. Give me the option to have a higher resolution slow motion frame rate. Dual base ISO now, it has been tweaked from 800 and 4000. It used to be 3200 in the A7 IV and the A7C II, so that's kind of nice. And apparently, again, the noise has been tweaked, so it's not as aggressive. It's more of a filmic look. That's what Gerald was saying, and he shows some side-by-side in his video. It definitely looks better, but like it's something that most people will never notice unless you're zooming in like 1,000,000% and comparing. This is still a stills camera, too. It does have a mechanical shutter, but it's electronic front curtain only. So you're going to have a slower sync speed with flash, but at least if you want to get rid of that rolling shutter for still pictures, you have it.
Right, you have it. But then on the flip side, that camera is atrocious when it comes to anything moving. Like when I was panning at the hockey game, for still photos, the stanchions on the boards that we know are straight were not straight.
And we're talking electronic shutter.
They were pried.
Yes. This was taken at Subaru Park.
Yeah.
Now, it does have the AI chip, so it is better than the A7 IV because that does not have the AI chip, but the A7C II does have it. So now you have the auto framing stabilizer, you have the dynamic active mode stabilization. It's 30% more accurate, they say, with human eye detection than the FX3 and the FX30. I think in general it should be a better autofocusing camera, but again, A7C II is probably about the same. And what I find interesting about this, back to stills mode, you can now do log shooting in stills.
I think that's stupid.
It's interesting if you're doing video work and you need to match your still frames or go and scout locations and throw a grade on there or something like that. I think that is kind of an interesting feature, but what I don't get is you can't burn them in. So it's not like the Panasonic where you can throw in their LUTs and shoot like it's a preset and burn in your JPEGs, or film simulation like Fuji's cameras. You get an ungraded still photo after the fact, which you then can grade with the same grade in Premiere or DaVinci or whatever it may be.
But not RAW.
I don't know. I assume it's like a HEIF. Is it like HEIF or something like that?
I mean, it could just be a flat JPEG.
I don't know.
We didn't have a briefing, so we don't know.
These are questions that I would normally ask during a briefing. So $2,700 at the end of the day. This is more expensive than the A7 IV by $200, which isn't bad. I said last week that I was expecting this to be around $2,999, that $3,000 price point, because their FX3 sells for $3,900 and their A7 IV sells for $2,500. So you kind of want that in between, but now it's like, do you buy an A7 IV or this? Probably this.
It depends what you're doing. I mean, it really does depend what you're doing.
I mean, really, you're not missing out on anything besides that true mechanical shutter and a vertical grip option, maybe for the A7 IV.
You know, the joystick, if you're shooting stills.
True. Yeah, you do have that
you
weird
lose out
joystick.
on some of that. Not that you use the joystick too much anymore when you're using that AI processing chip.
Sure. And the A7C II, price-wise, is $2,200. So you'd be saving a good $500 if you went with that. If it's just, again, if it's like a locked-off camera, tripod-wise, just get that camera.
There's so many options today that are all fantastic. Like, this is nitpicking. Everything is nitpicking anymore.
For sure. 100%.
Because, you know, you can get great results, as we always say, with anything if you know what you're doing.
I do think a lot of people shit on this camera, like why this is old tech, all this kind of stuff. I don't really mind it, especially for the price point. Like if this came in at $3,500, it'd be a different story. But $200 more than the A7 IV, selling alongside that for much more updated video-centric features and the AI processor on top of that.
Somebody's going to do. People are going to do great work with it, as we know.
Of course.
In the right hands, someone's going to do great stuff. I don't get shitting on the cameras at all times. There's a reason they made it. They're going to sell the amount they want to sell.
I do think that is a slow sensor. I mean,
that part.
That is quite an issue. The core of the camera is more of a photocentric sensor. Now that 33 megapixel 7K oversampling is going to give you a much more detailed video than an FX3 sensor, and on top of that, it'll be a little less noisy, most likely, with the oversampling. But you might have a lot more gelling going on.
Like if you're shooting anything, if you're panning and moving, it is going to be seen in your footage.
I do wish they also gave this 32-bit float audio. I think that would be a great feature to have in a camera like this, instead of having to bring around an external recorder, like what does Zoom call theirs? The FX3, the F3, whatever it is.
Don't know.
That's a nice little recorder.
I could see something like this being good for those people that do events, video events, stage stuff. You want full frame, but you don't want the FX3. I mean, you want the fan, you want that unlimited recording, even though you get that with the other stuff, but you want to be sure for sure. And this fits into your bag, like it fits into your needs. It's not a bad option, but there are so many options these days from Panasonic and from Nikon and from Canon that you have to start questioning where is the value best spent.
The thing is, the cameras are they have such hybrid features these days that you really don't need a dedicated cinema-centric camera. You could get away with even something like an A7 IV, or like you said, like the latest Nikon and Panasonic cameras offer a lot in that video world. Do you need a dedicated video camera like this? Now, at the same time, this does offer things like DCI 4K, shutter angle, the Big 6 menu, UVC streaming at 4K, the fan, like you said, all of those very video-centric features. But do you need them? You definitely can get away without them, for sure.
I agree. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if we get a briefing at any point.
I think the next step for Sony is an FX3, because I think that's what, 3.5 years old at this point. So it's getting long in the tooth, and that camera I think sold like hotcakes for them in the video world. So it's time to upgrade that. And I'm assuming the thing is, are they going to come out with an A7S IV first and then follow suit like they did before with an FX3 too? Or are they killing that line altogether? Because what is the point of an A7S in that alpha world? Because it is kind of the video-centric version anyway. What
if Sony's in trouble? We ever think about if Sony's in trouble? Because they haven't been making huge moves.
I don't know. I still think the A1 II is one of the greatest cameras out there.
It is, but they're still having trouble producing them.
And the A9 III. Look at the A9 III.
Yeah. No, I know. I got that. But it just seems like, no, I mean, the innovation is there, those two things, but
50 to 150 they just put out, the F2.
Yeah. But financially, I wonder what's going to happen financially. We can see what happens. So that puts a bow around the FX2. No idea what is coming next. Let's see. Are we going to you think we'll have a busy summer? I mean, usually by September, October, November, you start to get some huge announcements in the photo industry. But with tariffs and shipping and all of the stuff that's been thrown around and the uncertainties, that has made it difficult for every brand and every company in every way, in every walk of life, to try and predict what 6 months from now is going to do. So they've been sitting around. It's possible most things are going to be pushed off.
We had a lot announced at the end of last year. Z5 II, the R1, R5 II, the A1 II.
No, I still think we'll get more lenses. I think this for like Canon's focus this year was probably lenses and their video line is what it seems like. Because will we get an R6 Mark III? That's probably next in line. Is there a replacement to the R3, which I find is highly unnecessary?
I think the A7 V should be coming soon, is my guess. I mean, that's approaching 4 years old, right? A7R 6 too. That camera should be coming soon.
True.
There's still a good amount of cameras that need to come. From Nikon, I mean, are we getting a Z9 successor, a Z8 successor?
Same camera, Steven. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I still don't understand that same camera, just
it's
cheaper.
Great for Z8 users.
It is.
Absolutely great.
It is. So anyway, let's put a bow on this so I can get back to the shipping and get back to other work. I got to make some preset plugs and all that good stuff. Don't forget the preset sale, froknowsphoto.com/FroPack4, code FRO15 when you get the Grand Slam bundle, which makes it $1.81 for 58, right? Each one is like $1.80. It's like nothing, to be honest with you.
There's technically more presets too. It's just we have like different variations.
We don't cheat presets like people cheat when they're trying to do
there's
sales.
Like 110 presets, but
you rather over deliver. You rather over deliver than over promise because they're like, 5,000 presets, and all it does is it like changes something 5%. You're like, that's not a new preset.
I would be overwhelmed if I bought a preset pack that had 2,000-3,000 presets. I don't even know where to start.
We don't see that anymore. You don't see that marketing anymore.
Yeah.
Because I think it just failed. They just spent so much money on advertising on Facebook, and it just failed after a while. All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up right there. Thank you very much for listening. This is episode number 153. Jared Polin, froknowsphoto.com. See ya.
Bye.